Tracking your workouts, best habit of all time, S tier. Imagine going to the gym and just winging it, like I'm gonna do 4 sets of incline with 200 pounds. In the next 4 weeks, you're not even gonna have a grasp of if you're progressing or not. When I call people out for that, they're like, yeah, I just remember it, bro. Yeah, sure you do. Every single set, right? Unless you're doing a single set per exercise, there's no way you're memorizing every rep count. I know I just made a video about how stupid tier lists are, but just bear with me here. Instead of telling you what you should and shouldn't do, I created a hierarchy of importance for muscle growth for you to know what you should focus on most. Except those in F tier, you could just get rid of them. Sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night. This one needs a little bit more context for me to put it in A or S. If you're trying to hold on to as much muscle as possible during a deficit, then it's definitely a top priority. But during a gaining phase, this effect isn't that visible thanks to the calorie surplus. I'd still put it in S for any of the phases you're in, because sleep not only improves muscle growth, but also enhances every single other aspect of your life. By the way, this here is my microphone. I'm not watching Subway Surfers here, I swear. Training to failure, B tier. Our research is very clear now that there isn't much benefit to going all out every single set, but I'd still argue that you should go to failure sometime so you know how failure feels like. Thinking that every single one of your sets is 2 reps in reserve without ever going to failure is like trusting a homeless man with all of your life savings. How do you know he's not going to the casino, or if you're actually training 2 reps in reserve? Tracking calories, B tier for most people, but S tier for vast listers, because they need such a small surplus of food which can easily be overshot or completely neglected. I know some people would put it way higher because they can't trust their instinct on food that much, but tracking calories isn't available 24/7. If you're on vacation and you're eating out most of the time, you're not gonna starve yourself, are you? Unless you're a psychopath who brings his food scale everywhere, eating to satiety is your best bet. So you're relying on the hormone leptin to signal fullness, and if you're not obese, it's a good chance that it should be working properly. Full range of motion training, aka full ROM, B tier. I'd put it higher if this was a beginners only list, because they need to learn the technique first. But once you understand how torque works and how some parts of ranges of motion are completely irrelevant to which muscles you're training, you start to realize that it's better to cut them off sometimes. We do that for better efficiency. So let's take a squat for example. At the bottom it's hard, but at lockout it's super easy, so you're not really training your quads there. A good approach would be to cut the upper third of the range of motion and do your reps in the bottom 2/3. I don't care what you see on the internet, this is just basic physics. Full ROM training is just a propaganda from technique cyborgs who flex on each other by whose form is the best. But over the long term, they make zero progress. IIFYM. If it fits your macros, C tier. I know that by taking care of your energy intake and your macronutrients, you've already done the majority of work when it comes to your physique development. But the issues of this approach are beyond just your physique. First thing, more hunger, because you're gonna be eating junk food and won't feel satiated. That will lead to higher calorie intake, which will result to unwanted fat gain. You'll also feel like crap because fast food isn't micronutrient dense. You're gonna be missing a lot of vitamins and minerals you would otherwise get from whole foods. And the third thing, you'll end up not wanting to eat real foods because the bar of taste is now lifted up so high, the real foods you used to eat now just taste really bland. There are some positives if we go back to the vacation example. Paying attention to protein intake and energy balance really does a lot, but for other reasons, I'm putting it into C tier. Eating the same thing every day. This is some personal bias, but for me, easy A tier. I used to be hyper focused on the gym and really did nothing else all day. Just thought about working out. That led to me having time to cook myself something different every day. Now a busier person with more responsibilities isn't gonna be like,
what shall I cook today to increase my arm circumference by 0.01 millimeter?
They'll always make themselves something they know how to make well and something that tastes good. Meal prepping, no doubt, S tier, argue with the wall for 5 reasons. You remove the act of deciding what to eat, you have complete control of every gram of food you ingest, you save time if you meal prep in advance, you remove the need of having to cook all the time, and you learn how to make simple foods taste amazing. Tracking body weight, B tier. Again, a complete miss for recreational lifters, but a very useful tool for the advanced. It helps understand an individual's response to food and what their energy intake was like at a certain body weight. For example, last year I weighed at 90 kilos and I was eating about 3,000 calories a day. After finishing that bulk, going on a cut and now bulking again, I know that when I weigh around 90 kilos, my maintenance is close to 3,000. If I didn't have that data, I would be left with guessing again, which takes much longer and is much less productive for your physique development. Drinking a shit ton of water, F tier. By far the worst habit of all time and has no point of existing. Most trainers are so hyper-focused on their clients not to be dehydrated, so they force them to always drink water, and what they end up doing is they give them too much, so they're in a hyper-hydrated state. This has no point because if you hadn't lost a lot of water during training, why force it? Your body knows how much water it needs and it signals it by thirst. You probably won't do any harm if you're drinking a lot of water, but sometimes when your body can't get rid of it, for example, during intense training, you're gonna fall into a state where the balance of electrolytes and water in your body is so fucked, you might end up fainting or even dying. Supplementing C tier. Unless the supplement we're talking about isn't legal or one that you're deficient in, then the total benefit it adds to your gains is so small I can't put it any higher. Approximately 5% of your diet success can be prescribed to supplements, but nothing more, so focusing on the other factors is much more important. Consuming enough protein, easy S tier. The amount is individual dependent of course, but supplementing your body with enough of it will make you prone for muscle growth by elevating protein synthesis, make you feel satiated, and allow you to eat more food because your body burns the most energy while digesting protein compared to carbs or fat. Cold plunges, F tier for muscle growth, but S tier for character development. The many effects of cold water immersion are quite positive, but everything is in context. For example, they're known to reduce muscle soreness and inflammation, but those two factors are actually the key players when it comes to signaling the body that the muscles need repair. If you reduce that signal, you're also reducing the ability for the muscle to be overloaded the next time because it's not fully adapted. Camping at the bench with 3 bros, F tier. And the last one, post-workout carbs, C tier for effort, otherwise F. The intention is not bad, but research doesn't support it at all. This myth was created by supplement companies to sell you sugar for the price of a shake. The purpose is to quickly refill the glycogen stores that were emptied after a workout, but the body only burns about 20% of them, so ingesting those carbs at any other time of day would have the same effect. Plus, the type of carbs you eat doesn't make a difference because it all turns to glucose at the end. Make sure to send this video to a friend who has his shake on him at all times, and until next time, catch me on Brawl Stars. See you guys.